Sorry about that, everyone. Had just a spot of technical difficulties there. Appreciate your patience. As I was saying, I suppose you didn't hear me. I'm Wanda Wicks, she, her, owner and proprietor of Wanda Funk Technologies, and this is part 4 of our return to Revachol Disco Elysium. Now, for those of you who've been charting the trajectory of the content warning song, you can probably guess which parody song is coming up next. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Content warning. Yeah, I think the obvious trajectory, the parabola goes towards, well, we don't need to do any more content warnings from here on out. If you're joining midway through, I mean, best of luck. Anyway, let's continue with what we were doing. Okay, now, you may recall, we recently got some new clothing here. We still have to figure out what's going on with the traffic jam. We need to find out who jumped a car into a butter sign. We need to figure out who put the victim's clothes in the dumpster, etc., etc. We've also got some new thoughts going. But first things first, this is a pawn shop. Let's see what's in here. Okay. Well, seems rude not to talk to the gentleman first off.
It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop.
The man at the counter turns to you, slowly.
What can I do for you?
He asks. This is Bird's Nest Roy, and we're about to get some purple check here.
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
He likes a light show. Sorry, I feel like I'm interrupting you.
Oh no, not at all.
He flashes a smile.
I guess I haven't had many customers lately. RCM or otherwise.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake. People who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from.
Quite the collection indeed.
It keeps me entertained.
His attention is drawn once more to the play of light and shadow on the walls behind you.
He's well composed, but underneath it you sense psychedelic processes bubbling. Some kind of drug, maybe.
Now, this is an electrochemistry check. We're not likely to get it, but we just got gloves that will bump up our electrochemistry, so we're gonna try that later. Do you know anything about the traffic menace on the loose who ramped over your building?
Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but I don't drive.
Wait, why don't you drive?
I just don't like it very much. Movement on the road never really gelled well with the movement of my thoughts.
But didn't you hear it when the traffic menace drove over your roof?
Now that I think about it, I do remember hearing a thunderous noise the other night. Some kind of powerful electric vortex hitting the shop, and then moving on.
That sure narrows down our list of suspects.
A vortex. Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I didn't really know what to make of it, but I know it meant something.
By the way, do you happen to have any guns, like the ones carried by the officers of the Citizens Militia?
Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days back.
And there's that mystery solved. Oh,
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another. Alert.
wait, I sold you my gun?
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer.
He
Said you were
hesitates.
undeserving of a service weapon of the Revachol Citizens Militia.
I mean, to be fair, yeah.
And I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts photon emissions. The unhealthy kind.
Roy, as we will find out, has a fascination with photons and a unique understanding of what photons are. Was the buyer a policeman too?
She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive, but I was just happy to get rid of it, and of her. Truth be told, she was terrifying.
So, we don't necessarily know if she still has it, but someone who calls herself a pig and who is terrifying has our gun.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the Citizens Militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Got a couple of options. There is only one explanation. She must be one of my rabid fans. Maybe she's a vigilante, wants to prove she can do our jobs better than we can. I don't like it either. What if she intends to commit a crime and blame it on the Citizens Militia? Or, I'm sorry I sold my gun. I think this is the most realistic scenario, quite frankly.
You're right that she could cast aspersions on the Force. We have to find her.
He looks around, worried. Any idea where I can find this buyer?
My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from or where she went.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
Now, there's only one pathway in the game that gets us to the pigs. I am planning on going down that route, so we will meet her eventually, but not for a while. At least now I know how I lost my sidearm. Let's talk about something else.
Of course.
You might be able to aid in our investigation.
I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have.
Know anything about the recent hanging?
I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business. Bad for everyone.
A sensible policy.
He doesn't know anything.
Thank you, drama. Actually, that's all I've
The
got.
pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
I'm not going to sell anything, not just yet. We're going to put on our gloves and then attempt this check. This also gives us electrochemistry. And that's it. That should give us a significant boost.
Hello again. How can I help you?
Not bad, better than half. Let's try it.
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street.
And here we see the value of optimizing your wardrobe. Electrochemistry, not one of our greatest skills, but nevertheless, we got that with only rolling a 7. Wouldn't have if we hadn't put the gloves and shades on. Pyrrolidon? What is that?
A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Okay, so our options are, is it me or is it really warm in here? Sir, could you take off your sunglasses? I'd like to check your eyes. Or we could get straight to the point. So, where does a man get Pyrrolidon these days? I feel like being straight to the point.
How would I know?
Our options are, it's pretty obvious you're under the influence, sir. No judgment, just curious. I probably did loads of Pyrrolidon before I lost my memory. Chill out, man. I'm a chill out cop who just wants some of what you're having. Wink. Or, I didn't mean to offend you. Drop the subject. You don't want drugs. I'm gonna say, chill out, man.
Pyrrolidon is just something You know, since the People's Power disaster.
He coughs as if to mark his words. The People's Pile disaster. Let's learn about that.
I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. Had to take it for radiation sickness.
The People's Pile? What's that?
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste into River Esperance.
What is a particle decay generator?
A primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile.
Why is it called the People's Pile?
Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work on it after the Commune fell. They wanted a cheap source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, things didn't work out.
So the Commune fell. Basically, Revachol was invaded by a coalition of outside forces that still rule it from the outside today. But the communists, despite no longer having an organizing communist government, thought that they could continue the project. This is what happens when you don't have strong leadership. Anyway, why did it fail?
An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe.
And tell me more about this emergency relief brigade you were part of.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. Tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill.
So he points to the white triangle on his orange safety jacket. So he's still wearing the associated safety equipment to this day.
On the patch, gamma radiation lines crossed with a red drop of blood.
I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out.
There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick.
He looks at the spiraling light and stops. It must have been tough radioactive cleanup.
There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has tried to repair or replace the pile.
That's probably why he wasn't especially offended at us not knowing what the pile was.
So much disappointment, and early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could.
Whose fault was it that the generator failed?
No one's. Everyone's.
He sighs and shakes his head.
So much bitterness.
Now he's holding it together pretty well.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen?
How did you end up running a pawn shop?
The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it.
So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole.
I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forburg as I can. Still in the same city, but...
He shrugs. Thank you for telling me.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Now, this is unfortunately gonna drop us a point with Kim, but we can make it up regardless anyway. Care to share your Pyrrolidon with me?
Have you tried it before?
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. He won't be your nog, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
I think I've tried it once and liked it.
Here you go, man.
He presents a large cap-shaped object on the palm of his hand. Very odd looking.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Pyrrolidon. Straight into your gut.
Thanks, man.
Of course.
So he's just casually handing over his government-supplied anti-radiation drugs. Now, it's worth noting, there is a drug associated with each of these 4 stats. With intellect, it's nicotine. With physique, it's alcohol. With motorics, it's speed. And psyche, it's this pyrrolidon stuff. Now, given the effects that it has as a hallucinogen, you might expect that we would have a drug like mushrooms or cannabis here. But, and I believe this ties into the political aspect of it, this is specifically something provided by the Coalition, and it's artificially made, artificially controlled. The political philosophy that's associated with psyche has everything to do with control of the people from outside, an artificial government. And this is despite the fact that canonically cannabis does exist in this setting, but we never encounter it. Ditto cocaine. They'll mention cocaine a lot, but we never get to try any. It's not clear which stat cocaine would raise if we were to get any. But anyway. We're not going to sell anything right now. Let's look in here. Mostly military wear, with a few more eccentric fashions thrown in.
Wow, a very large red t-shirt with an impressive print stands out from the other garb.
This is weird. It says rack of second-hand uniforms, and yet we're finding a red t-shirt. Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, the print depicts a muscled man striding toward you, a giant sword in each hand, encircled by burning embers. Behind him is a cluster of cabins engulfed in flames. Beneath him are the words, Heimdall burning.
Want to get more clothing?
The antlers on the hood of the man's cloak and his piercing blue eyes are familiar.
Sniff the t-shirt.
Smells like worn cotton and a little old sweat there. Worn cotton with a side of flea market or trash bin.
Sniffing is okay, but please don't try anything on. Can't have you leaving your photon emissions in the fabric of things you're not going to buy.
Again, Roy has a unique understanding of what photons are. Although, to be fair, he probably knows more about quantum physics than we do. What's the deal with the man on this t-shirt?
It's the man from Heimdall.
Walking away from his burning village, yes.
In universe, this is sort of similar to Conan the Barbarian. So we could say, I'm guessing I'm supposed to know who this man from Heimdall is, but I lost my memory recently and need help remembering the basic facts about reality. Or, remind me, who's the man from Heimdall again? I think we'll go with the brevity option.
The man from Heimdall is the hero of a series of popular books based on a fictional version of Kotla, mostly what is nowadays ARDA NFD. In fact,
He leans in.
most people don't think that man from Heimdall ever really existed, but they are wrong.
You'll note, he specifically already said it's fictional.
Heimdall isn't a real place.
Neither is the man a real man, of course, but both the man and Heimdall are an ontological necessity. But hey, it's not worth getting into an argument about.
Bird's Nest Roy not only has a unique understanding of photons, but a unique understanding of causality as a whole. To be honest, he might not necessarily be wrong. Anyway, continue.
Wow, what?
What did you mean the man from Heimdall was real?
I mean, even if the man from Heimdall didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he has. It's simple, really.
Okay.
He sounds incredulous.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. All that's required is a more robust understanding of cause and effect.
And regular doses of a government-issued psychedelic for 15 straight years.
Besides, I've been to Kotla. though not quite as far north as the Helmdall, and watched northern lights travel across the sky.
Very unique, energetic tides there.
It's for the best, because Eamdal is not a real place, and thus he could not have gone there. His theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Interesting.
Now, this has the possibility of offending him, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This shirt celebrates a false hero, a guardian of the masculine order.
I doubt the real man from Helmdall was as poor a role model as the one in the popular literature.
Again, if the quote-unquote real man from Helmdall was retroactively made real by the literature, why would he be different from what is depicted in the literature?
But yes, the books are very sexist, in a not entirely unenjoyable way.
I don't think Roy is meant to be read as a fascist, but a lot of the stuff associated with Man from Helmdall, and we're going to see a bunch of other stuff because he's a popular fictional character in this world, does relate to a sort of uber-masculine... Well, it's associated with fascism in this setting. How much are you selling this t-shirt for?
2 real.
That's dirt cheap.
Couldn't you just give it to me for free then?
But why?
Our options are, because I'm a broke cop without a cent to my name. The man from Helmdall is a superstar. I'm a superstar. It would be perfect. Perhaps I could repay you in some other way? Or, I guess I can't really think of any good reason. Let's see if he's open to bartering.
I deal in goods, not services.
Fair enough. Give me the shirt.
Welcome to Helmdall, officer.
Let's check out this shirt. Fantastic. +1 to our physical instrument, inspiring musculature. +1 to our shivers, sprawling saga. -2 to our authority. Too old for this shirt. The man from Helmdall is standing in front of a burning village, dual-wielding his ever-present Zweihanders. His muscles look ready to burst out of the two-dimensional print and into your three-dimensional life. Now, of course, anybody who's familiar with martial weaponry, or the German language, or has ever eaten Zwieback, twice-baked bread, would know that Zweihanders are literally named after the fact that you have to wield them with 2 hands. For all that Roy thinks this could have been a real character, he is inherently silly. I'm gonna put the shirt on. Looks great with our tie, doesn't it? Do we have anything else for shivers? Not at the moment. Let's see what else is here. No? What's up with this light?
Typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps.
Let your gaze run over the streetlight.
The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. This would make quite a statement in your living room.
Oh, definitely would. Look at the size of it. Is that a streetlight?
Yes, officer. As you see, it's in perfect working order.
His manner is casual, but his speech is careful, measured. He wants you to know that he has nothing to hide.
He's not going to lie, but he also doesn't necessarily expect to be arrested for this, but he thinks it might possibly be a possibility. Where'd you get this?
It was brought to me to be altered.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property.
He leans in so the pawnbroker doesn't hear him.
You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
He pauses, studying the light. How much for the streetlight?
700 real. A bargain, I dare say.
And our options are you out of your mind? There's one just like that on every corner. Even taking into account the risk of obtaining the light, that seems a bit steep. Or 700 sounds about right. I imagine it wasn't easy sawing off that street lamp. We're gonna appreciate the effort.
Hey, I don't know where it came from, but it's not every day you get to buy and sell something so extraordinary.
We obviously cannot afford it. There's nothing else you need to know about the light. What's in this cabinet?
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty.
The sound has changed because we're standing closer to the projector now. Inspect the knights on horseback.
Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
Point at the knights on horseback. These are Franco-Nigerian cavalry, right?
I used to be very serious about my Franco-Nigerian knights.
He looks at the dusty figurines in the dim light. Inspect the blue uniforms.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
We're going to see a version of this uniform shortly. Point at the blue figurines. Are these royalist soldiers?
Which ones?
The man Pearson's glass box.
Those. Yes, they are. I find the paint job a bit gaudy, but children like the bright colours indiscriminately.
Inspect the figurines in rags.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels and tall sticks.
Point at the figurines in rags. Are these even soldiers?
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win.
Now, these all are associated with the 4 political alignments. We can say, it's meant to give people hope. Even we can do it. That's obviously the communist answer. The contrast is meant to be disheartening, as it ought to be. That's the fascist answer. It is impossible to win against the cohorts of capital. Ask my friend Gart, whose bitch it made me. That's the libertarian option, or as we will find out, they call it the ultra-liberal option. And then this option is the moralist option. I wish it were more nuanced. As it stands, I cannot comment. I'm going to keep on with the commie talk.
Maybe.
Now, before we hit this interfacing check, even though it's very high, let's swap our gloves again.
You see rows of toy soldiers
Now you can
guarding
see
the rest
it's
of the
even
trinkets
higher,
displayed
but
on
not
the table.
guaranteed.
Some on horseback. Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless man wearing futuristic tracksuit trousers that say found.
What is this?
Oh, that's the Headless Phone Rider.
Who?
The Headless Phone Rider. It's an urban legend about a man who rides the streets of Revachol sporting a fawn tracksuit. As you see, he's missing his head.
He points at the decapitated figurine.
50 cents. Bargain price. I'll throw in the tiny cap too. I think he's looking for it, or something. That part of the story has many interpretations.
He lost his cap when he lost his head. Perhaps he's looking for the head.
Well, let's buy it.
Did I mention that this figurine is supposed to be lucky? Always carry it with you.
Can do. Alright, let's take a look at some of the stuff we just got. This is Pyrrolidon. It's going to knock our health down by 1, because it's not good for you, but it improves our psyche by 1. So, it's a good thing to dose up on before you attempt a particularly important check. A pretty little puck-shaped cap of purple liquid that can bring on anything from hot flashes to military-grade psychosis. With sufficient tolerance, however, it can make any weather feel balmy, if only for a while. Kim is not impressed with us for grabbing this, and we are an addict. Items. Figurine set, Headless Fallen Rider. The plastic Headless Fallen Rider sits atop his equally plastic bull. You will notice it's a bull now and not a horse. The understanding of the Headless Fallen Rider changes over the course of the game. his posture indicating either desperation or pride, comes as a set with the infamous fallen cap for which he lost his head. The head is not included. Alright, what else we got? Oh, let's look at the speakers.
The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled. Chipped, dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels.
Stand on the tips of your toes to see more.
One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says Stereo 8 approved. Just make sure it works before you buy it.
A good lesson whenever you're buying anything, especially secondhand. Shopkeep, this Stereo 8 approved machine here
Is the Harman Welshie W2. Made in Vespa. Designed in Seoul. Plays all reel-to-reel formats. 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real.
What I really want to know is, could this device come in handy in my police work?
If police work means playing tapes, sure. You can use it for that. Or any other time you'd need to play a tape.
Are you sure this is all in working order?
Absolutely. I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech. Found sounds and music from a variety of genres. Even though I don't really like music.
Roy is an interesting guy.
That's odd. Why doesn't he like music?
Don't like music? What do you like then?
The stuff I record myself. Silverware shaking in drawers as motor cars race by. Nocturnal animals climbing on the roof. Airship rotors. That kind of thing.
Maybe you should ditch music as well. Get into these more experimental sounds he's describing.
There's a surprising amount of this game that we will find out is about experimenting with weird sounds. Well, I want to buy that boombox.
And here you are. Quality sound reproduction on the go. It'll play anything, wherever. Turn any tape into a conversation of sounds and shapes.
We are burning through that money Joyce gave us. Alright. Bust of a woman. The plaque simply says DEI. That's Day, as in Dolores Day. In the dark, a film projector is whirring away. Some kind of machine. An antique cash register? So yes, we've got a new skill point. And we're just gonna immediately level up our shivers. I'm getting that for a reason. This is the reel-to-reel boombox of everyone's youth. A little banged up, a little chipped, and honestly not that loud either. Looks cool though. Excels at being carried on the shoulder, allowing you to play audio tape items and blast music into the face of unsuspecting strangers. Let's go. You can hear the music. Let's turn that back off, honestly. Put that in our free hand. Why not? Just in case we run into anything crowbarable. Some great tectonic force has cracked the pavement like an eggshell. The damage looks like it could have been caused by an earthquake. Tire tracks leading onto the roof. The slush and rain has almost washed them off. Now, like I said, here's that uniform in the flesh. Oh, get back here. What was that? Oh, there it is. The spirited chirps and clicks of swallows fill the air, standing in the middle of their game. But they don't mind. Hello.
Have you no shame? Whining about your back every time you bring out the measuring tape.
This is René Arnaud.
René, you're a man with a fork in a world of soup. Please, let's just try to enjoy the game, alright?
The other one is eating a big sandwich. I love that metaphor. You're a man with a fork in a world of soup. Depending on the soup, you can still eat, but, you know.
I'm trying to, but you keep breaking my concentration. You're old. I can see that. We're both old. Now stop grabbing your ass like it's a girl.
These manly men are playing balls. This is a ball game. Grab a ball and play it. Don't ask questions. Shoot first. Ask questions never.
We only succeeded at that because of the shirt we're wearing. Shouldn't I ask what game it is first?
No, you got this. There's the ball. You're the game.
Well, if you say so, physical instrument. Grab the ball and show them how it's done. This is what success looks like.
You are immediately surprised by the ball's lack of weight. No matter, you'll make it work.
Feel the ball.
The cold metal ball is surprisingly smooth against your neck. It has a pattern on it, probably a sponsored ball. Yours would only be covered with bumps of learning and scars of victory. Already your muscles are adjusting to the weight, the nervous system calibrating, until you and the ball have merged into a single entity. The man ball is ready.
Take in the surroundings.
A chilly breeze ruffles your hair as you stand there, feet firmly planted. All sounds, smells, even the wind, everything fades until the only thing left is the union of man and ball.
There is time for a last glance inward. Who am I?
An embodiment of pure motion, a fine-tuned locomotor running at maximum efficiency.
The inertia can be contained no more than a bullet leaving a gun. Let go. Be the bullet. Pretty good form for shot put.
Merde! Bordel de merde!
I don't think I need to translate that.
A whorehouse of shit.
Oh, thank you, Rhetoric.
It wasn't whorehouse of shit. The shot was at least 23 meters, probably 24, and then some. Nothing to be embarrassed about.
What the hell is your problem?
Not a weak right triceps, that's for sure.
I don't care if you are a cop. You do not just ruin someone's game. It's so goddamn disrespectful.
Wait, what?
You vandalized our game, son. We can't play petanque with 5 bull.
I thought it was shot put.
Well, it damn well isn't. It's petanque. You ruined a petanque game. We want our bull back.
Take it easy, René. This is just a misunderstanding, isn't it, officer? No harm done.
At this point, it's worth asking ourselves, why did we assume it was shot put? What is it in our subconscious that made us assume shot put? Well, we might find out later.
Of course there's harm done, you orange slug. You owe us a goddamn bull.
Okay, I will try to fix this.
Good. Mistakes are forgiven when men at least try to right their wrongs. I believe you will try. Now, why did you approach us?
René Arnaud is an angry man, but there's something in him worth respecting. He is at least consistent. Although, as we will find out, he's also a great big fascist.
Yes, why did you come here? It's unlikely they know anything about the murder. You never know. He might know something. This is a good vantage point.
Do you know anything about the man hanged in the backyard of the Whirling in Rags?
Unfortunately, I don't. Unlike most of the locals, I have no qualms about assisting law enforcement. But this affair has passed me by completely.
And most of the locals?
In Martinez, the union is the law. So can you really blame them?
But you don't have a problem with cops.
Cop is a pejorative term. I don't have a problem with policemen. On the contrary, I admire the effort to bring order to our streets.
Ah, yes, of course. You love order.
He doesn't know about the crime. Your time is better spent discussing politics.
You can probably guess his response to this. What about police women?
I'm confident they are indispensable in regard to all the paperwork and other administrative duties.
So our options are, not to mention keeping the station tidy and the men fed and happy. There are no duties RCM women couldn't carry out. You better not be implying that women are unfit for field work. Or, I try to avoid voicing opinions on controversial matters. Let's just drop it. I'm gonna stick up for my female coworkers.
But you must agree that nature, in her infinite wisdom, has made men more fit to perform certain, more challenging tasks. Don't you, officer?
No, I don't think there's any evolutionary inequality at play here.
Really, officer? Match an average woman against an average man in a dark alley and see who comes out on top.
You are aware of the invention of the gun, yes?
Gender equality is a very noble, very modern idea. But in real life, primal roles prevail. But I do not wish to discuss this matter further.
Oh, of course, you don't want to be cancelled, heaven forbid. You seem to be playing in a crater.
Yes. The terrain here provides an interesting variety to a familiar game.
Do you know what created it?
I do. Fire from heavy artillery.
Okay, it's a crater left by artillery fire, but why?
Why what?
Why was heavy artillery used?
Because that's what happens when communards hijack your country, execute your supreme leadership, and turn your capital into a slaughterhouse. You use heavy ordnance to clean up your home.
Did you use artillery fire against them?
Sadly, no. It was the foreigners who brought them to their knees. We fought valiantly. Too valiantly. So valiantly we got licked.
He adds, squeezing a boule in his fist. Oh, of course, that's why you lost, is because you were playing too fair.
Should have fought dirty, like they did with their suicide sex cult propaganda and mad anarchist women strapped to shrapnel bombs. We didn't so, and we lacked caliber. God bless him, but the suzerain's cannons simply weren't big enough.
He might be believing a bit of his side's own propaganda, as filtered through 50 years of bitterness and defeat. Also, he's still wearing his original uniform, that he still fits into, to his credit.
It was probably a bit more complicated than that.
Thank you, Logic. Why shell them here in Martinez?
Because this place is a damn beachhead. Had to soften the commies up first.
The beachhead?
Yes. The military coordinated amphibious landing to take back Revachol. Martinez was used as one of the 3 footholds in Revachol during Operation Deathblow in 08. The other 2 are off in Stella Maris and the Delta.
He points to the northeast. So we can say Deathblow sounds grim. No duh. Nod thoughtfully and turn to look northeast, or shake your head and look down at the crater. I'm gonna go with shake my head and look down at the crater.
This here is Blood Ground, where coalition boots first made landfall and cleaned those rabid dogs out. Most likely, we're playing pétanque on their mangled corpses.
Blood ground. You got old René going there. Like he isn't hungry enough already.
Is that why everything is so bombed out?
Damn right, son. They laid the fire of hell on the city before they stormed it. And it worked, too.
There's a strange gleam in his eyes. So even though the coalition bombed the hell out of his city, he still appreciates them blowing up the communists, his own countrymen, because he hates the communists more than he loves his country. Well, that's one interpretation anyway. I think he might disagree.
The rest of the city got cleaned up, but Martinez they keep as a monument. And now the Union Socialists are practically running the place.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You, we, the coalition, Revachol, whoever you want to blame, never finished the job. Officially, the party never surrendered. Of course they still hold influence.
So, in theory, the war from 50 years ago is still going on today.
You don't even begin to truly understand the players at the table, let alone the specific circumstances surrounding the...
He stops mid-sentence.
What do you think?
Once again, we are asked for an opinion about a topic we do not yet know very much about.
Thinking men have opinions on these things. Present one.
So our options are, that's how it should be, soft socialists paving the way for the hard working class to take over. That's the commie option. Foreign powers cleaned up our mess and now they rule us. Shake your head in shame. That would be the fascist option. This coalition seems quite capable, actually. That would be the moralist option in favor of the coalition. Commies just don't understand how money works. That's the ultra-liberal option. That's a common refrain of libertarian types insists that communists, despite spending almost all their time debating theory, don't actually understand the economy. And finally, nothing. I don't think. I just do. Gonna keep going with communist.
Preposterous! Surely you don't mean it. I'm just sorry it had to be them. After 8 years of fighting those commie hyenas, boiling cats for food and drinking my piss in the mountains.
Oh, don't worry. There are some people in the world who are happy, but not Renee.
I would have preferred if the Right Honorable King Guillaume returned through Revachol, or even if that damn clan Frisel had risen from the grave and led us. Sadly, that was not the case.
Now, you may recall, back in our first playthrough, I mentioned the name Guillaume. There's a few Guillaumes that are notable. The first Guillaume that we learned about was Guillaume le Million, the pop star. This is the figure that Guillaume took his name from. Guillaume le Lion, Guillaume the Lion. He changed it to Guillaume the Million. Just, again, because it rhymed.
Instead, all that is just, holy, and beautiful in the world was wiped away, and now it's neon signs with toothpaste ads everywhere. Foreign influence peddling garbage and stupid music on the radio.
Also, my back hurts. That must be the communists' fault as well. He sighs.
This is just what the commies wanted. This was their plan all along. This is what they wanted to replace the role of the suzerain with.
Somehow I doubt that. But when you're too entrenched in one political position, you tend to see all of your enemies as being in league with each other. You mentioned Guillaume. Let's find out more about him.
A true king in both blood and mind, led Revachol before Frisel. He would have been better, but the damn commies drove him into exile.
I believe we're about to hear from Encyclopedia.
Some manner of self-deceit is
drama.
present in his thinking. Sounds like this Guillaume abandoned him, and he doesn't want to admit it.
And what about Frisel?
Damn Frisel. He was the king we couldn't protect. The Carabineers failed him, and the crown. He died in the hands of the Hyperlay, in a very public execution.
I don't know if you caught that in the voice performance. Renee might not be doing so well. 50 years of harboring hatred will do that.
He slouches as he says that. It makes him smaller, admitting they left the king to the mob.
And what exactly is a suzerain?
The suzerain is the king! Has everyone forgotten already? They've forgotten already.
Suzerain, by the way, you might not be familiar with it. It's not an especially common word, but it is a word that wasn't made up for this game. It's like a sovereign or an emperor, someone who rules over vassal states, but with sort of a loose hand on the tiller. They don't really control the vassal states so much as just collect tribute from them. The suzerain of Revachol used to collect tribute from every other nation in the world. And it would appear that the rest of the world has turned the tables on Revachol.
It's no use talking to you. You were still in Daddy's balls when it happened. When we took our last stand against the filth and rode the cavalry straight into gunfire.
Doesn't seem like a winning strategy. Anyway, we're not going to bother with this check just yet. Thanks for your time, Renee. What's up with you, Gaston? Enjoying your sandwich?
I have really outdone myself. This is divine.
Yes, that's what you need, Gaston. More padding on that fat ass of yours. I hope your heart gives out.
René, it's a little pleasures. Life doesn't need to be a struggle. Hello, officer. How might I be of assistance on this fine day?
What do you know about the dead man?
Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week. But that's all I know, really.
Come on, you must have heard something.
No, officers, I'm sorry. And I really would like to assist. You are both good guys. I can see that.
Based on what exactly?
Then help them, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the gauche caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
Gauche caviar is an interesting phrase. Gauche you may know as being rude or not high class, but it also literally means left, in this case, leftist.
He means caviar socialists.
Thank you very much, Ritter.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Odd. He doesn't seem to be lying, but there's something off here.
Oh, thank you for picking up on that. Sounds a bit like you're holding back.
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of Union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone important in the Union. I just know Evrard.
How do you know Everard?
Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history. Only heard about it years later, when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. There he stands, proud, rigid and alone, like a cracking marble statue.
Let's try not to get caught in a crossfire.
Good advice. Are you a Union member?
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me.
In many ways?
Oh, yes.
So you're not an actual member?
Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
The little things that you want someone to take care of who is not officially part of the Union. Sometimes people like that are important to keep around.
So that's what it was before. Him hiding something. He tries to make it look like he's a big deal in the Union, and now the illusion is disintegrating before your and Renee's eyes. He doesn't know anything, because no one tells him anything. He's an outsider.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Vezavane. Turns the way the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate the socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence. Never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
What are the little things you do for Everard?
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say.
we'll actually get an opportunity to read something that Gaston wrote later in the game. What kind of things do you write for him?
Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Everhart and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little penman exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
So Gaston is kept on the payroll to write what Everhart and the Union want the papers to say, but he's not officially a Union member. So there's plausible deniability. Are you a caviar socialist?
I don't even consider myself a regular socialist. Politics is not really something I involve myself in, officer.
Wait, how can you write those newspaper pieces if you're not political?
Officer, I have a vivid imagination. And like I said, I have a way with words. That's enough. No need to sink into politics.
One could make the argument that this is an exercise of empathy. He's able to write other people's points of view because he can see himself in their shoes.
He just fluffs it up.
Also that.
Of course. Don't sink into anything. Don't sink into any fight. Only sink into your couch.
But you need to believe in something. Freedom, the people, Revachol, or even money.
I believe everyone has the right to think and do whatever they want. Even if it's nothing at all. I'm very adaptable.
Extremely committed to freedom, this gentleman.
Oh, mon Dieu.
The Carabinier closes his eyes like he's never going to open them again. Thanks, that's all for now.
No, thank you. For being consummate professionals. You'll have this case wrapped up in no time.
Looks delicious. Can I have a bite of that?
I'm sorry, officer, but I really don't share food. Nothing personal, it's just a principle.
The only one you have.
The sandwich looks like a culinary wonder. Well made and abundant in components. The author sure knew their craft. In addition to the obvious slice of ham, a fat one, you notice a brim of a tomato peeking from below. And is that mayonnaise?
Now you'll remember, like I said, there's two pieces of solid food we can eat and they're both pork products. This, a ham sandwich, and you'll remember Measurehead referred to us, and by extension all white people, as ham sandwiches, is the second thing that we can eat. I'm gonna try for it. Please, man, can I just have a bite?
Believe me, officer, I wish I could help you, but I need this sandwich to keep my blood sugar stable. In my age, you need to pay attention to these things.
Please, friend, let's just share it.
Fuck off! It's mine!
He jerks away, immediately startled by his own reaction. Now, to be perfectly frank, this is legit. For some people, especially depending on how they were raised, having an instinctual reaction to having someone else take your food is a thing. And sometimes it can surprise you. It's sort of like your reaction to an unexpected physical stimulus, like if you jerk away when someone tries to touch your arm, even if it's, a tender gesture when you weren't expecting it.
A glimmer of respect flashes in Renee's eyes.
Renee respects, if nothing else, aggression.
Sorry, officer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in a bad way. But the sandwich is mine. I'm not gonna share it.
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a weird move for a cop to walk up to you wearing a green amphibian visor and then ask for the sandwich that you're actively eating.
And it's gone.
When the dissidents come to rape our country, he hides. But try to get a bite of his dear sandwich and he gets close? You're a special kind of vermin, Gaston.
Now, we could take a crack at this, but we're not going to yet. Want to bump up rhetoric a little more than this first. You can see, even though our rhetoric is at a 6, we have a -1 because we haven't yet replaced the bool. Spoiler, we can. And it's a very difficult check. It's a 14. Trying to roll a 14 on 2d6? quite challenging. Anyway, bye. Well, that's enough of these old guys. Let's see if we can find someone a little younger. What's this dot? Enormous bulls, worthy of a real man. Yeah, I don't think we can throw these. Here's someone younger, and not a weird drug addict like Kuno.
Hello, sir. Step right in. The store is open.
A young girl with chubby red cheeks waves at you smiling. Her nose is also red from the cold. I am the law.
I know, sir.
She stomps her feet to feel warmer.
Are you interested in a new and exciting book?
What kind of a store is this anyway? We can see here the name of the store. Crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. What kind of store is this anyway? We're gonna ask anyways if we can't read that.
It's a bookstore, sir. We sell books, postcards, and some board games. It's called Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
That is a terrible name for a store.
Books? Postcards? Easy. Even a kid would know all of this.
Now, it's possible for us not to make this check and then we have to ask what books are. But instead, we can now say, little girl, I know what a book is. Books are like very long letters with stories inside them. But I think it feels inappropriate to lecture this girl.
Don't be a fool. As an expert, it's your duty to tell what you know to everyone.
Hey, don't tell me what to do.
Sir, are you okay? You've been standing here silently for a while now.
This is perhaps our first indication that when we have these little mind conversations, time is passing. So people are watching us just sort of stare into space and have conversations with 24 different skills. Is it okay if I ask you some questions?
Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I hope they're about books.
What's your name?
My name is Annette, sir. My mum, her name is Plaisance. She owns the store. She's inside minding the register or organising the stock.
The girl gazes at the window, then suddenly jolts, her eyes wide as if recalling something.
Feel free to step in and browse our wares.
And you're standing out here in the cold because...
I'm signalling that the store is open. Otherwise people might not know. They'd miss out on the crime, romance and biographies of famous people.
In other words, this little girl is being made to stand out in the snow, doing the job of a sign, or possibly a waving tube man. I should have a word with the store owner, maybe?
Oh no, sir. I'm happy to help Mum by luring in customers. Besides, I have some hot juice in my vacuum bottle to keep warm.
Shouldn't you be at school or something?
I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running.
Is going to school more important than this?
Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is dutiful. That's how you get ahead in life. You succeed.
I think we've all met parents who are like this.
There is stress and unease behind these words. She's reciting etiquette.
How's the business going?
Mum says it's peachy. She was a little afraid at first. There's talk about this house being cursed.
Cursed? In what way?
Cursed in the way that makes them say that no business has ever really thrived here, sir. That they all go...
She's looking for the right word. Bankrupt, ass up, or say nothing. I'm gonna say the right thing.
Exactly. But we've been doing fine so far.
I'm gonna take the curse seriously. This sounds rather serious. I should probably
We can
look into
go
this.
into the bookstore and ask about the case. But I don't see much more to look into here.
The lieutenant makes a note in his notebook.
Yes. Please do also look at our wares inside. The postcards and board games are there, sir.
What do you know about the other failed businesses?
Nothing really, sir. Mum doesn't allow me to sneak around in the back rooms or the cellar. I don't really know what's there.
So there's our hint that there's going to be some interesting stuff in the back rooms and the cellar. How does this curse manifest itself?
It does not manifest itself in any way. It does not exist. I liked it better when we were talking about whether it's appropriate to stand out in the freezing weather.
But Kim, the plasmic manifestations.
No such thing.
The lieutenant stands at your side, stern and serious. Lieutenant No Fun over here.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, sir?
Enough about the curse for now.
Maybe I can tell you about some of our books instead.
What is this crime business?
Crime fiction is about murders or burglaries or things like that, and the work of a policeman or a private detective who's trying to solve a crime and catch the criminals.
Why would anyone want to read about crime?
It's exciting to people, I guess. They get to imagine dangerous things, and it's kind of like a puzzle, where you can guess who the criminal is, or how the good guys are going to catch him.
I'm a policeman myself, by the way. The law, as I said.
You don't look much like a policeman.
She examines you as if to find something policeman-like. Extremely fair assessment. What does a cop look like then?
Didn't mean to offend, sir. Sorry, sir. It's just that you don't look like Dick Mullen.
She points to a book cover on which you will see a strapping Vespertine officer. He stands grimly over the body of a dead woman. Roughly as accurate as the man from Hjelmdal. You may recall Dick Mullen. We heard about him earlier on the radio. You know, nobody actually looks like the guy in the picture. That's just a stupid fantasy of a man.
She looks at Dick Mullen, frowning. He isn't even drawn right.
He isn't even drawn right. This is not how human shoulders work. The perspective is all wrong.
She examines the picture, trying to find whatever is wrong with it. She then shrugs and puts the book aside, unconvinced.
She doesn't have a keen artist's eye like we do. That's just no way to cop. I can do it way better than Dick Mullen.
Sure you can, sir. He's just a fictional character. He'll be no match for you. Maybe you can show me some real police work, sir. Like in the books.
I get a composure check. Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Let's try it.
The girl keeps her hands folded, hidden. Why is that?
Hey, why do you keep your hands folded?
What do you mean, sir?
You can show them to me.
She looks around anxiously. Her hands remain folded in front of her. She doesn't want to show them. The lieutenant stands by, looking at the two of you with little interest.
It's okay.
She brings out her reddened hands, her nails frayed, nearly chewed down to the flesh.
You bite your nails.
And you knew this from me keeping my hands folded?
She shoots you a suspicious glance. There were a few other hints.
Well, that proves nothing. Anyone could do an easy deduction like that.
Her eyes flash with defiance. She's not impressed. Want more? Bet I can figure out why you bite your nails. I've got a few reasons in mind.
She nods, half provocative, half enthusiastic.
So our options are, you're uptight because of your mother and the pressure she's putting on you. Probably correct. Rats have been nibbling on your fingers, child labor and dismal working conditions. Unrealistic. Chewed on nails means you're recycling your body material. Also unrealistic. It's an intense dedication to the way of business. There are no riches without personal sacrifice. We're gonna select the obvious correct answer.
Maybe so, sir. Okay, I know it's a bad habit, and I shouldn't.
Either way, another ace detection by the #1 detective in town.
It was okay, sir.
She's still got a rebellious streak.
There's more that can be achieved here. Ask her to do the same.
You think so? Fine, do better. Deduce something about me. That's going to be useful because we do not yet know very much about ourselves, and we're about to learn something else.
You're quite sober.
She snaps back quickly.
The lieutenant does not flinch at the comment. He does not flinch even a single bit. He is intensely not flinching. It takes effort.
Kim Kitsuragi, master of willpower. Wait, how do you know I'm usually not?
Because you usually aren't.
I am also sad, and my head hurts.
I'm sorry, sir. I hope things get better soon.
Annette's a good kid. She looks at you in the eye, a gleam of sympathy on her face.
There she stands, swaying on her feet, assaulted by the early spring breeze. She smiles at you. The whole situation suddenly feels familiar. Somehow, there's something you're missing.
What are you missing here? Why does this feel familiar? Well, not a very strong odds. Yeah, but we can retry it.
You have absolutely no idea. Familiar? How? You must have forgotten something you heard again.
Well, I'll come back to it. What is romance?
It's the type of book where there's a rich lady and she has to choose between the good man and the bad man.
She smiles at the thought, perhaps imagining herself in that situation. Heteronormative.
Or there could be a story about a poor lady getting a rich man. It's about man and lady business, sir.
What about a poor man getting a rich lady?
It happens, but usually the guy gets rich in the process. Or should actually be rich himself, but has lost his family property unjustly, like during the revolution or something.
It's worth noting that Annette, as a small child, picks up on what her mother teaches her, and her mother has taught her that people who lost their property during the revolution lost it unjustly. That is an opinion. I see.
Those are unhappy books, for most of the pages. People sad about what they have lost, but then it all turns out just fine in the end.
What about when both of the men are bad?
These are not very common. You can't have a choice between bad and bad. Nobody wants to read a story like that.
What if it's written really well?
Well, maybe then it's fine. Maybe if the lady then decides not to pick either, because she doesn't need a bad man. Yes, that would be interesting.
That might be a good lesson for you to internalize, little Annette. What about when everyone is poor?
That's really not a proper romance story. That's more like everyday life.
Sometimes you have to write about real-life things.
Not in romance books, sir. These are about nice and pretty people, and everyone is happy in the end.
Yeah. What about a book where the man and lady business doesn't work out at all?
I haven't read many of those. Maybe you should ask Mum.
This is a route we can go down. I'm not going to. It's just really awkward to read. Our protagonist has a lot of stuff he needs to unpack. Maybe I will.
I'm sure she can help out. Anything else you're curious about?
That's enough romance for me. I had other questions.
Maybe some about other books?
Who are these famous people?
Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or artists and writers, or musicians, those kinds of people. There's usually something extraordinary about them.
She scratches her cold reddened cheek, then continues.
I think that's why people read them, to find the secrets of their fame.
Seems like most people who read those books fail to get more famous from reading them.
Reading those doesn't make the readers more famous, does it?
But it does make the famous people more famous.
And our options are, fame sounds delicious. Maybe someone will write a book about me one day. Fame is for vain people. I have better things to do. Or, these famous people sound like a bunch of dorks. They sound like dorks.
Annette's expression remains ever so helpful, but she doesn't say anything.
We could continue on with the anti-establishment 90s style railing against popular culture, but I think we're gonna say, never mind, I literally had nothing else to say.
Okay.
She looks at you with her wide eyes. Yeah, I think we're done with you for now, Annette. Thank you. And now, check out all these books. This book has a rose, a pistol, and a half-naked dame on its cover. That would be crime. On the cover stands a very muscular man surrounded by flames. Possibly another man from Hjelmdal. This is a book about pâté, which doesn't fit with the theming, but okay. This book, you don't really understand what it's about, nor does it seem important. A book about boyadero culture. It promotes freedom and roaming upstream. There's that word boyadero again. A book about the future. The government reads your mind using radio technology. A lot of interesting stuff. Well, let's go in and talk to the mother. Hi there.
Welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People. My name is Plaisance.
The clerk extends a greeting. The matching color scheme with Kim is probably a coincidence.
Be welcome, and please take responsibility for the energy you bring into this space.
Much like Roy, this is someone who has a unique understanding of how the universe works. But very different, and arguably she's under the influence of a different type of substance. I'm not going to ask her for money. Spoilers, she doesn't give any of it to us. So, are you the owner of this store?
I am the proudest owner of our little shop of culture.
Her voice is high-pitched as if to give it more penetration. And here's a case where the voice actor definitely matches. The girl outside mentioned that this place is cursed.
Cursed? Who said that? Annette? I will have a word with her. This place is not cursed. It has a robustly magnetic energy. Good for commercial activity. My business is thriving, sir.
Keep telling yourself that. I don't see any other customers in here.
What in God's name is she talking about?
Your daughter is the one standing outside the store, right?
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, was she at her post doing her job like a proper girl?
And we can get her in trouble for no reason, but I'm gonna say yes, of course.
Wonderful! Did you talk to her?
Yes.
Great! On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled were you to buy books after talking with her?
And we can say 10. She's certainly very polite and helpful. 5. I felt some interest. 1. Not impressed. Or, I'm not gonna grade a human being. I don't do that. Always tell the bosses that the employees were 10 out of 10. Even if they weren't. Unless they're real dickheads.
My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette.
All this pressure has made her really anxious. You know she's been chewing her nails?
God. I've told her not to do that. It's such a disgusting habit. She'll get over it. Anxiety is a part of life.
I don't think she can do anything about it.
She can, if she has enough willpower. This is what's called growing pains. Life isn't easy. Life doesn't give breaks.
Come on, ma'am. It's obvious she can't do anything about it. You are placing an unnecessary burden on a young child.
And her options are, what you're doing is wrong. Even I know that, and I usually don't know anything. That is true, and obviously the will of the market, but maybe make an exception for your daughter? Or, yeah, actually it's super alright for kids to chew their hands off. Forget I said anything. Nah, I'm gonna say what you're doing is wrong.
She stands stiff and severe, silently fuming. 10 or so seconds pass without change. She's looking for one, but there simply aren't any good arguments for being an asshole.
Doesn't stop some people from trying.
Oh no. Hold on. I need to invite her inside and apologize. She must be freezing out there.
We helped.
There. I don't know what to say to you. My husband, he tries to teach me business lessons. I have what my mother called a dull mind. All this stress.
She stops, but her mouth keeps moving. It's often said, hurt people hurt people. And somewhat more gently in this case, stressed out people stress out people. Is this husband Annette's father?
Yes. My husband is a successful entrepreneur east of the river. If only he were more involved in the business we're running up here. No matter. Soon we'll both be off for Grand Couronne.
Wait, Grand Couronne? What's that?
It's a proper place to live. One of the most peaceful neighborhoods east of Jamrock. You may know it for its massive housing projects. Most of the buildings are empty at the moment. It's a great opportunity to get ahead of the crowds. Better times ahead for sure.
And your husband's also involved with the bookstore.
He made the initial investment. Since then, he's been what you might call a silent partner.
Super silent, almost inaudibly so.
Again, stressed people. She obviously is not in a great place with her husband. Isn't it an only child?
Yes, I'm afraid so. A real treat she is. It would be nice if she had... No, we couldn't have afforded more children, really. Not in this economy.
A glimmer of sadness blinks through the well-crafted exterior.
Of course, yes. This economy.
Exactly.
She agrees wholeheartedly. She told me she doesn't go to school anymore.
She's been too busy, helping me here. So she studied at home this trimester. This is a temporary solution, of course.
Plaisance nods. Trimester implies that semesters in this setting are 3 months, like a pregnancy. That might be important, symbolically.
I assure you, I of all people understand the importance of education. She will be back in school the moment the store takes off.
And hell freezes over? Never mind. It's not a good topic to get into.
Sure, she's gonna go back to school just the second that everything turns around. Any day now. Alright, I had something else in mind.
The woman looks aloof, her features much softer. Occasionally she glances at her daughter's silhouette.
What if I want to buy a book?
Then why are you talking to me? Everything is on the shelves to browse. Don't you feel compelled to buy anything? See those shelves there? Go. Be drawn.
She fiddles with her pendant, then waves her bony fingers directly at you. That's a weird gesture. So what types of books do you have?
Everything is on the shelves. Take a look yourself. The shelves compel you, don't they?
She doesn't know or care what she's selling. Alright, I'll take a look then.
She smiles and nods, seemingly relieved.
Farewell for now, book peddler. Hey, Annette. Feeling good here in the warm?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't talk right now. I'm very busy with my homework. I have so much homework now.
Out of the rain and into the gutter.
What are you missing here? Why does this feel familiar? Well, we've got a second crack at it.
Because you know each other.
Oh, yeah.
She's been talking to you so openly because you've talked before.
Hang on, so you know me? We've met before?
Yes, I used to stand out there all the time, before Mother told me to focus on my homework. You've been running around all week without your shirt on, sir, telling people about being a star or something. I don't really understand who those stars are.
It's worth noting, this dialogue changes depending on how you set yourself up. We hit superstar first thing, so that's why, retroactively, we've been telling everyone we were a superstar. Did I ever talk to you?
Of course, you stopped by a few times. You certainly look better than the last time I saw you.
Thanks, I'm trying.
Yeah, I can see. You don't have party eyes anymore.
Party eyes. Yes, of course. That makes sense.
The lieutenant slowly, ever so slowly, realizes something. Party eyes?
You know, like a cat in the dark, all big and wide-eyed. It certainly looks odd on a man.
The swiveling eyes of a loony drug addict. That is what she meant. You were probably gurning too.
Making a weird facial expression.
Good thing she didn't say party eyes loud. Her mother's nearby. Fuck yeah. You should get some party eyes right now. Snap those sequins on you, boy.
So, we could delve into this in more detail, but I think we're gonna leave it be. We're clean and sober. So far, anyway. The girl doesn't know what she's talking about. Forget about this.
Don't leave us hanging like that, man. Open yourself to the experiences of the world. Expand your consciousness with amphetamines.
Electrochemistry, not a good influence. Although, as we saw when it allowed us to diagnose Roy, it's still a useful skill. So, why didn't you tell me you knew me to begin with?
I didn't know I had to do that.
Thanks. I've learned something about myself today.
I'm glad I could help you, sir.
What are you doing now?
Math. It's really difficult. Like, really. They say you need it to get rich. Better than standing outside in the cold, I guess.
Knowing things in order to get rich, less important than you may think, Annette.
Oh, I found something while you were away.
What is it?
I thought this would fit you. Like, thanks for helping out. Not me. The city, I mean. Like a detective does.
She gives you a hat, almost exactly like the one Dick Mullen wears on the covers. Wait, where'd you get it?
Just what Dick Mullen would ask. I got it from behind the curtains. I'm not really supposed to go there.
Behind the curtains? That is the forbidden area. It's a fedora?
Maybe. It's the hat Dick Mullen wears all the time. You'll look way more serious with that.
Definitely more serious than a froggy visor.
Right, I have to get back to my homework now, before Mum notices.
She looks back.
This is hard.
Sorry. She looks back to the infernal scribblings under her nose. Okay, bye. See you around, Annette. Once again, more stuff. Dick Mullen's hat. +1 to our encyclopedia, which is already pretty high. Booksmart. If anything, this wide-rimmed hat looks even better than the hat Dick Mullen wears. Dick Mullen is stupid, and not even real. You're real. Your brain is real. Your real brain is inside the hat. Heck yeah. Alright, let's take a look at the different books here.
The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word Heimdall somewhere.
Wow, more Heimdall.
Mountains of it. Heroic quantities of Heimdall. Roy's puny shirt is nothing compared to the real deal.
It's almost like churning out genre books to an audience that enjoys sexist escapism is kind of plug and chug, especially when you have an army of ghostwriters. So let's look through the display of books.
Rows and rows of Heimdall men blur your vision. You make out some titles. Man from Heimdall and the Mammoth Riders. Man from Heimdall, Return to Heimdall. And the solipsistic Man from Heimdall and the Heimdall Man.
Good God, how many are there?
Maybe 100. Man from Heimdall and the sages at the end of the world. Man from Heimdall and the false god. Man from Heimdall and the scorched earth. Man from Heimdall, the Heimdall colonies. Man from Heimdall and the swamp beast. Man from Heimdall and the snow crabs.
Is that all?
Not even close. Man from Heimdall in hell. Man from Heimdall and the forest of slaves. Man from Heimdall under the lake. Man from Heimdall, Heimdall burning. There's even the Trial of Death, a pastoral combat game book set in the world of Heimdall Man, and so much more.
We could try this, and we do have a +1 to it, but I think we'll try later when we get something to boost up our pain threshold. It's literally painful looking through all these books. I get it. Gift books and molten candy. Some candy you really shouldn't have out in the front window, even if it's cold outside. Old sports magazines tucked away in a dark corner.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related merchandise.
Ooh, Wirral. Wonder what that is. Storekeep, what board games do you have here?
Wonderful board games, sir. The Viticulturist is a classic for sure, or perhaps you'd like Archipelagos of Insulinda, a very educational game for those interested in geography. Graubritter is a fun game of economic competition, but can get quite intense after a while. We have games for the whole family. You can play with your children.
Raubritter, by the way, is German for robber baron. Safe to assume it's the equivalent of Monopoly. I don't feel as if I have any kids.
Friends are technically like family.
She fiddles with her pendant, thinking. Nice save.
For playing with friends, I'd recommend Suzerainty. It's a civilization building game where you build a civilization, then set off to brutally colonize and repress other civilizations. It'll cost 12 real.
Nice. I want to buy the suzerainty game.
Wonderful choice, sir. A wholesome family game.
For wholesome families. So, what about all these Wirral things?
Lousy auras there. No, role-playing games are popular among those types. You know, who are into those kind of things. Personally, I don't like it. Not at all.
We may see that there is a reason she doesn't like the stuff behind the curtain.
I've heard they turn people into occult enthusiasts. That they have rituals where they try to summon entities. Highly immoral stuff. You can still buy them, though.
She looks at the table, crossing her arms. This is basically like someone who believes all the Jack Chick tracts about D&D, but still sells D&D books, because they're probably the only thing keeping the shop afloat. Let's look through the pile of Wirral-related items.
An endless variety of source books, lore books, and codices litter the table. The topmost book is titled Welkin Compendium, 2nd edition.
Welkin is a valid but little used word in English meaning heaven. In this setting, however, it's the term for a creature not unlike an elf.
There's also a large hardbound tome with intricate cover art, The Hunters of Katawak, Boreal Creature Compendium, and a Pick Your Path adventure game book titled Tales of Wirral, Cavern of Velkrag. Books in a board game section? Who wants to read books?
Anything that really catches my eye?
There's a box that says Wirral, 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplements Module. The side panel notes, a fantastique adventure board game, new maps and miniatures. A sticker on it displays 25 real. That price is steep, but then it's the 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplement, so it makes sense.
Why does that make sense? Anyway, we are burning through our money, but I do want to get that.
If you say so, but you better stay away from those immoral occult rituals.
I'll do my best. Alright, let's see what else we got. The book collects the national recipes of Arda. They're all about lake trout. And let's go upstairs. What do we got here?
These shelves are overburdened with books from the same series. You see the name Dick Mullen over and over.
Ah, that guy.
A couple of spook novels hide amidst all the detective books. Thrilling tales of spycraft and daring-do.
Oh, gotta have your James Bond in there, too. Storekeep, what's all this crime fiction?
Oh, crime, robberies, murders, even sexual crimes. We're fortunate to have Dick Mullen and his stories to sort all that out.
Yes, wherever would we be without Dick Mullen to sort it all out for us?
You're a police officer, apparently. You should buy all of these. They really do teach a person how to be a proper detective.
I love that line of logic. You're apparently a police officer, so you should buy all of these mystery books. They'll teach you how to be a police officer. Well, let's look through the display books.
Crime fiction is a disgrace. An asinine misrepresentation of the physical attributes of the arduous everyday work of actual police officers. These books greatly overstate the excitement of police work, glossing over how long it takes to actually follow up on leads and eliminate dead ends. What's more, they completely ignore the psychological hardships of year after year coming into contact with people during the worst days of their lives.
Police officers generally are not the good news guys.
Not a single mention of all the stress this work creates upon the officer's family. Detective fiction just doesn't tell the truth at all. Now, would you like a list of all the books found on the shelf?
Sure thing.
You see Dick Mullen on the job. Get Me Mullen. The Stalwart Adventures of Richard P. Mullen. Dick Mullen and the murder in the orchard. The sordid affair of Dick Mullen.
This feels familiar. Like I said, I think Dick Mullen is the modern-day equivalent of the man from Hjelmdal.
A killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the murder house. The final case of Dick Mullen. An obvious lie. Dick Mullen in the clock tower. The ordeals of Dick Mullen. Dauntless Dick.
Heyo.
Dick Mullen's funeral pyre. The murder of Dick Mullen.
Dick Mullen dies?
Oh no. Turns out he faked it to solve a case.
Obviously. Are there any more?
Yes. There's also the dame who did it. Farewell, my Mullen. Faking death seems to be a common trope in the Mullen series. The morbid tales of Dick Mullen. A dark tide turns. Tragedy calls for Dick Mullen. Another one with fake death. And, of course, Dick Mullen, the murderer. In order to catch a murderer, Dick Mullen must become the murderer.
Obviously.
After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is Dick Mullen?
Alright, reaction speed. We got a decent shot at it. Who is Dick Mullen?
Your attempt to grasp
Oh,
the
double
answer
ones.
fails.
Ouch.
It seems very close by. Pulsating just out of reach.
Well, we'll have to remember to come back to this one. Alright. It's a tome of fascist magic. Rather candid. A quaint picture book brochure. Very colorful. This is something that's going to be important. We want this.
Several maps have been attached to a bulletin board hidden inside the alcove. They're held up by small pins. The board has come loose from one corner.
You can see it tilted there.
The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of Insulinda, a map of Revachol, and a map of Martinez.
Well, first, let's look at the map of Insulinda. That's sort of like the continent we're on.
This large map displays archipelagos. You see a constellation of small dots on the light blue emptiness of the Insulindic Ocean. The largest in the northeast is La Caillou. You are here. Another, far away in the southwest, Seminese Islands, Ile de Fantôme.
Seminese, you will recall, is what Measurehead is.
Ozon, Laurentide, Fas a la Mer, Archipelagos, North Arcade Islands, all just specks of dust on the vastness of the Insulindic. On the edges of the map, the color fades into a blur of dotted lines, black and white, disintegrating into mathematics.
I love that language, disintegrating into mathematics. We're going to find out more about what that means exactly.
In the northeast, a dust mite stands on the north coast of Caillou, in a bookstore. It's you. Radiating outwards from you, the suzerain Revachol. With a radius of 80 kilometers, still, the crown jewel of this Isola would be barely visible.
Shivers is letting us know how far a radius it has, 80 kilometers. And you know what? I've been talking about Shivers a lot. We've invested in Shivers. I don't think we've actually read the description. Let's do that real quick. Because Shivers is important. Cool for city lovers, the wisest of the street wise, the genuinely supernatural. Shivers come when the temperature drops and you become more keenly aware of your surroundings. It enables you to hear the city itself, to truly belong to the streets. It is a supernatural ability. Old wrongs play out in present time. Scenes across the city happen in front of you. But who is speaking to you? At high levels, Shivers may make you seem mad to the outside world. As you listen to the city, you don't listen to others. Your superiors may begin to worry. With a low Shivers, though, you will seldom hear the city speaking to you. And if you cannot hear it, how can you ever save it? Shivers is, as this says, genuinely supernatural. Our character has the ability to connect to the city on a spiritual level. and apparently to a radius of about 80 kilometers. Squint first. Can you see cities on the islands?
You can. On Caillou, Revachol, a single black star. On Ozon, Fondelier, and Vilmandu. On archipelagos, Croyan Moran, Villiers. On Seminine, Olduvai, and on Laurentide, Deora of the Seven Seas. 850 million people live on these little dots, an oceanic world of culture and commerce torn apart by history.
Let's look at the edges.
The ocean breaks apart into a tangle of cosines and azimuths, all pointing into pale nothingness. Windy is the north azimuth. Grad is the northeast azimuth. Samara is the east azimuth. Seol is the west azimuth. Isolas, they're called.
Now, we don't yet understand exactly why that is. On a normal world map, you would be able to see across the ocean from Americas to Europe and Africa, but here, it's just dotted lines and math connecting the different Isolas.
Connections to other worlds. Words past the Incelindian, unknown to you. You only know you've never been there. You have little idea what they are. Distant stars.
Oh, come on.
Worlds.
We have the
But
hat and
looking at them
everything.
makes you feel almost non-existent. Whatever they are, the Isolas are immeasurably large compared to you, and very, very far away.
Well, all right.
Perhaps they are gods. Gods of distance and outer dust.
You failed the conceptualization too? Dang it. Alright, well, let's focus inward. That was the islands that we're on. Let's look at Revachol, the city as a whole.
The north coast of a verdant island is shattered by the delta of a river. It is the River Esperance. Countless bridges put the shards back together, connecting city blocks to river islands. La Delta says a great artificial heart in the center, teeming with life forms and construction. To the east, rolling hillsides, Le Jardin, Stella Marie, the suburbs of Saint-Baptiste, swallowed up into the megacity. They sound rich to you. This is Revachol East.
As I said earlier, Revachol East is the nice part of town. We don't police there. And west of the river?
Hudon. It's somewhere to live. Not bad. Then there's Jamrock. It's bad. People shouldn't live there, but they do. Then Forberg. It's almost as bad, and much larger. Then Coal City. It's the worst.
We've already heard about a lot of these places. Couron is where Plaisance hopes to go. Jamrock is where we're from. Faubourg is the place Roy was cleaning up. And Coal City is even worse than Faubourg. And Martinez?
It's so small you can't even see it on the map. No, wait. There it is. North of Jamrock. The strip of coast next to the Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor. It looks downright despondent. It's almost Coal City, to be honest.
The GRIH is where Kim's precinct is.
No, Coal City is worse. A charred limb. Rain falls on its slick black streets. And then there's the burnt-out quarter in the heart of Jamrock. Is it cold in this bookstore? Or is it just you?
There's shivers again connecting us to this city. And finally, let's look at the map of Martinez, the little bit of Revachol that we're in.
It's not really a map. It's a tourist thing. A picture postcard with buildings on it, drawn from an isometric perspective. A date in the upper right corner says 48.
Isometric, just like we're in.
Still, it's detailed. Could be pretty useful for scouting ahead. You see the jagged boxes of an industrial harbor, even the whirling in rags there.
Storekeep, can I buy these maps?
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two are not for sale anymore. And besides, you could scarcely afford them. They're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez is 90 cents, though.
Why is the one of Martinez so cheap?
That old thing. It's an out-of-date map of a tourist location that never was nor came to be. From when some design studio people tried to spruce the place up 4 or 5 years ago. They also renovated the horse statue, set up those coin-operated viewers, and designed the new street lamps.
We haven't really looked at the horse statue yet, but you've probably seen it if you looked at any material about this game. The coin-operated viewers we saw were defaced, and the street lamps, well, Roy's got one in his shop.
The place does not look like a successful tourist trap, does it?
What happened then?
They didn't get that far, for some reason. A shame the project never got going. Would be nice if someone fixed Martinez up. All these ruins are bad for business.
So, in theory, we could pocket the map, but Kim's watching, so we're gonna buy the map instead.
Always good to be informed of your surroundings.
That is an important thing for us to buy. Now, we don't have much time left in the stream. Oh, almost missed that. This is in reference to the fascist magic we saw earlier. Everyone knows the most interesting thing about fascists was their magic. But we finally got enough shivers that I think, if we're lucky, something might trigger when we head outside. Oh, come on. Are we lucky? Are we lucky? No, doesn't look like it. We might need to put another point into shivers. Let me just check and make sure we've got all our shiver stuff on. Yep, that's it. Oh, let's take a second and look at some of this other stuff around here that we missed earlier. A heap of snow melts in this wheelbarrow. The street sign reads, "Fuck the police." Pigs go home. The street name is illegible. We are not well liked here. Let's talk a little more to the gardener.
Hello again, officer. How are things?
Presumably referring to the street signs. What is this "fuck the police" business?
Excuse me?
The street sign says "fuck the police."
Oh, well, I didn't write it there. I'm just sitting here.
You didn't say she wrote it. You asked what it was doing there.
I didn't say you wrote it.
Sir, it was implied in your question.
The timidness is gone for a second. Something else takes its place. A readiness.
This gardener may not be as she appears. What about the other sign? Pigs go home? Who are these pigs?
I don't know anything about that either. As I said, I didn't write it.
Pig is a widely used term for members of the police. It's not loving.
No need to worry. We are not saying you did.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
Good to know. And we're going to talk to one more person before we're done here. Hi, Tommy.
I am a gander and a hunter and a gatherer. Feel like a traveler.
The man mutters to himself, accenting the beats as he
A
goes.
simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
Now, this is an interesting question, because these lyrics are from a song by Sea Power, formerly British Sea Power. They were called that at the time the game was created, called "Want to Be Free." We will in fact hear a bit of "Want to Be Free" later on in the game on the radio. So it's possible that he's singing something he heard on the radio. But the bit of the song we hear on the radio is different from the album version of "Want to Be Free," and we don't hear the bit that he's singing. So it's honestly an open question whether he's making it up or whether he heard it elsewhere. Anyway, we're gonna keep on with the Judge Dredd impression. I am the law.
You sure are, my man.
Keep listening.
From another planet. Hey there.
What's going on here?
It's the jam, my man.
He motions towards the sprawl of lorries with a sweeping gesture. By the way, for anyone who knows French, you might be noticing Tommy le homme, the man. That's not how you would normally phrase that. The H is not considered a consonant, so it would normally be L apostrophe homme.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils, heavy metals and other byproducts of the modern era. You could almost taste it.
What's the jam?
It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck.
Yeah, and that drawbridge to the south isn't open for some reason, which means that you're stuck here so we can investigate you and see if you're running drugs.
Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Upon days.
So how long have you been here?
Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is a word we're going to hear a lot. It's a type of fuel.
Mazout is an antiquated term for
thank
heavy
you,
fuel
Drama.
oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Yeah, Tommy Laham is all about the drama. Not necessarily lies, but the drama. I dig your style, man.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
He snickers in appreciation of the digging of his style.
So tell me, what do you need?
I heard that one of the drivers is a woman, but I haven't seen her around. Do you know this lady driver?
I don't want to talk about that.
He shifts around, suddenly uncomfortable, then looks away. Why? Do you know something? What is it?
Man, I was hoping she'd catch a break. All I can say is, she isn't around here anymore. She isn't some mastermind evildoer. And I don't know where she is.
Who is she to you?
A friend? An acquaintance. I don't know. She was the only person in this damn jam I could talk to. She's someone I don't want to rat out to the law, okay?
Drug runners generally have to be personable in their line of work. Who is this person? What's her name?
Thank God I don't know. People here call her the lady driver. She kept her name a secret. From me too. Now I see why.
Again, not a lie as far as you can tell.
What does she look like?
A youngish woman. Gruff, but in a cool way.
What color hair?
Blue and violet. Dyed. It was violet when she got here. Blue before she went.
An interesting way to make sure people can't keep track of your appearance without necessarily being in disguise. I like blue hair personally.
Then she may have dyed it again.
When did she leave?
Damn, I don't want to... Please just let it go. Whatever she did, it can't be that bad. She's not a bad person. I know that much.
We may get more information later on of whether or not the lady driver is a bad person. And, well, I'll let you make the call.
We can't just let it go. It's part of a police investigation.
That's how it always is with you, isn't it? All part of the investigation. The girl's troubled. If you hunt her down, she may not survive it. I can't have that on my conscience.
Well, that is very true. It's gonna depend on some roles. You'll see.
It won't come to that. We won't pursue her on this. This is information only.
Interesting how the music changed for this conversation.
I don't believe you.
You said she's troubled. How?
She's got the darkness in her. That young person's darkness when you think it's all over. And you're looking for a way out.
She shared this with you?
Yes. Which is why I don't want to snitch on her.
I was told everyone's afraid of her. You're not?
I heard the rumors. I saw the other drivers looking at me strange when we talked. And she told me, too, that she's had a violent life. But I wasn't afraid of her. More like for her.
Tommy is an empathetic guy.
Did this violent life include drug trafficking?
Well, it looks like it did now, but we didn't talk about that. We talked about life, you know? She talked about her mind.
When she left, did she leave her lorry behind?
Fuck, man. Go grill someone else with these questions, okay? There are plenty of drivers here who couldn't stand her, or were afraid of her. They'd be more than happy to rat her out.
There is one other driver who can give us that information. And I really hope we can get the information from that driver, because I don't want to go through what happens if we get it from Tommy. But either way, we're getting it. It's kind of what we do.
He's right. There are other options. The raceman, for one.
The racist, it means.
One of them you haven't even questioned yet. Maybe the third driver knows something.
They might.
Wait, this guy says they're friends, then acquaintances, and he's okay with others ratting her out?
He's okay with her having been ratted out. He just doesn't want to be the one to pull the trigger. That's an interesting definition of friendship. So we've got a couple of options here. We can force Tommy. She's a suspect. I need you to tell me where she is or I can't finish the investigation. Or we could try and appeal to his empathy. Or we could point out his hypocrisy, but I think for right now we'll drop the matter. It's not really a priority just yet. I'll drop the matter for now.
Thank you, friend. Wow, this makes me feel like I should pick up smoking again. Would help with my rhymes, too.
You are actively smoking a cigarette, sir. It's worth noting, a cigarette, if it works for him the way it works for us, would boost his intellect, which in turn would boost his conceptualization and his rhetoric. So, yeah, it would help him with his rhymes. You know anything about the dead man, the one hanging behind the hostel there?
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Busy with what?
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs.
This man is a poet.
Ask for his conclusion.
And your conclusion?
A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees.
What are you hauling anyway?
Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Relax. He's merely joking.
It's possible to not get the joke if you don't make this check. Wicked. I've always wanted a friend in the underworld.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Found runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, tracksuits and that kind of thing.
You recall Faun from the figurine that we bought. It's a very old, but still very cool sportswear brand.
They usually get shipped to Grodd in the Occident. Though we've been making headway in the Il Moran market lately.
That's your machine behind you?
This rockin' beauty. Sure is. Like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6?
When in doubt, go with the option your skills give you. That's a Faun A6 you got there?
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together.
So nothing illegal then?
Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
We're not gonna ask him for the stuff he's hauling. It's not his to sell. That's a lesson that Sileng could learn. Right, I had another question.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Tell me more about this strike.
It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out.
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
Maybe I should go on strike.
Maybe you should. Cops don't get paid much and the hours are long. Plus, you can get shot. Why not?
The RCM is a self-managing organization that operates on donations. We promote our own leaders. It would be like striking against your own mother.
So we can say, I don't know my mother, but I'd go on strike against her too, for my rights. Or, I guess you had a point there. Or, no, your mother. Just reflexively. We're gonna admit he's got a point.
Yes, but do continue. You were asking about the strike?
What's the union demanding?
Some pretty wild stuff, I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? Forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess.
Even though he's been stuck here for days, he has no ill will towards the union.
I've heard talk there's a company rep in town, too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up. Precise demands and so on.
And indeed, Joyce has already let us know what those are. What do you think the company wants?
They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely more a union kind of guy. You know, workers standing up for workers. Despite the current conditions. Anything else I should know?
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All of us do.
All of who?
Us lorry drivers. Cam, your nurse. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really.
Not you?
Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
He glances down the road toward the horizon, a glint of something in his eyes.
He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
We're not gonna try this. Not yet, anyway. And we're not gonna ask him for money. He's been stuck here not getting paid for days and probably living on takeout, so he doesn't have any. I'm good for now. Good talk.
Don't be a stranger.
He gives a salute with 2 fingers. And if I may say the same to you, don't be a stranger. Oh, I was just about to end, but we got the shivers thing. Never mind. We're gonna do this now. This is really good. I'm glad you stuck around for this.
All around you, rain falls on the great city of Rivershore. Rain drips from the eaves and floods the gutters, washing the filth away.
Oh, pay attention. We're gonna get some lore.
The spring thaw must be here. The snow is melting.
What am I doing?
Looking up at the sky, cold water dripping from your hat.
What do I see?
Grey sky like great battleships, clouds colliding with one another. Rain falls down on the world.
How does it feel?
Your shirt sticks to your chest. The shoulders of your disco blazer grow heavy. The cold finds its way in under your skin. You shiver, and the city shivers with you.
Hence the name. Look at the war damage here. Still hasn't been repaired.
You're not dressed for this weather. You should get an overcoat or a patrol cloak.
What is in the west?
Sheets of rain over the water. A flight of
Over
stairs
here.
leading into the ocean.
There.
Wave after wave washing the coast of Martinez, with its motorboats and gently swaying reeds. The ruins of a half-sunken sea fort crumble on an inlet beyond the Bay of Revachol. Ghosts rise into the sky.
Who are you, ghosts?
The skyscrapers of La Delta, the financial district. Faint golden light seeps from the office windows.
What is down the shore, where we can't get to yet?
Urban coastline, rain dripping off Eternite-covered roofs. Cinder blocks left over from half-finished construction. A defunct research and development building, once seized by revolutionaries. An old wooden church stands on stilts above the water.
We're gonna get to see all that stuff. And beyond that,
Coal City, end of all lines.
run your fingers through your dampened hair.
Your hair is an oily mess flecked with ash from neighboring coal plants. Smokestacks rise somewhere in the distance.
Alright, over here where the harbor is. What's in the east?
There's a fleet on the corner. A plastic coat is folded into a small triangle under the counter by the window. Beyond that, the strikebreakers have gathered. The great gates of the industrial harbor are locked. A chill runs down your back. You shudder like an animal trying to shake water from its hide.
Clench your teeth to stop shuddering.
Behind the gates, heaps of supply crates, red and blue metal shipping containers, slick with rain. The Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor is an artificial mountain range. Immense wealth resides within, and immeasurable poverty in its shadow.
All the stuff, very valuable. All the people working with the stuff, less so. And beyond that?
La Drusienne, King Dries passenger harbor. Cruise ships flanked by dock arms. Cranes watching over the mouth of the river distributary.
What is across the distributary?
Couronne, the lower middle class. Distributary after distributary cuts the city blocks in half. 7-story buildings trail off into the rain.
And what is beyond the Couronne?
A silvery curtain of rain over the houses. The class divide.
Physical as well as sociological.
You have never been there. They don't need the law east of the river.
What's in the north?
Capeside apartments. Tower blocks crowd one another. 4.46mm bullets still lodged in their war-torn stone walls.
That's this building here.
Hallways collapse from the mortar hits of a war that was lost long ago. Clotheslines go to waste in the rain. Radios play. The evening news.
And closer to here?
A yard. Rain falls onto the roof of a woodshed. Coal leaks into a puddle beneath a dead man's feet. He swings from a tree, bloated. Droplets of rain slip from his cold cheeks.
And what's in the south?
A traffic jam. Rain thrumming on the roofs of motor vehicles. Inside, drivers watch water streaming down their windshields. The statue of a king shudders. He too is cold. The canal bridge has been raised.
And what's on the other side?
The road ascends. A raised motorway loops above the ghetto. Beneath its concrete columns, a sea of rooftops, woodwork, and tar stretches northward. 4-story buildings as far as the rain can fall. The snows melt in Jamrock.
That is where we came from. What is Jamrock?
Revachol is the capital of the world. Jamrock is the capital of Revachol. Droplets form on your eyelashes. It's home.
Where the hood? Where the hood? Where the hood at?
Have a brother in the cut. Where the hood at?
That is our first hint of the actual voice of Revachol. And of course, a DMX lyric. DMX is from New York, another big city that's divided into boroughs. Genuinely spooky. That's home. Why am I not there?
To be in Martinez, where no one goes, at the runoff point of a long-forgotten canal, in the whitest part of town, in the shadow of the day the revolution failed.
What am I doing here?
Standing in the rain, looking north, where Jamrock Rock City stretches inland.
Shudder. Look further.
In the rain-swept distance, above the rooftops of Jamrock, a repurposed silk mill stands perched above the motorway exit. Precinct 41 hunches in the rain.
Our people.
Your vision blurs. You wipe your face with your hand. The rain stings your eyes, making you look up and blink.
And what is above?
Coalition aerostatics hang like apparitions under the cloud cover. Way up there, where rain forms, rotors flutter silently. Your sight clears.
It hasn't been touched on yet, but the Coalition still has airships ready at a moment's notice to blow us all to Kingdom Come again. For 50 years, they have held ready to decimate this city again if communism should threaten the world order once more. Motherfucker.
This rain will not let up anytime soon. You should get a raincoat. There's a freight to the east. They sell them there.
Kim is not dialed into the city, or at least not the way we are. He's a more practical person. And now, as I was going to say before we were interrupted by our central nervous system and its connection to the supernatural, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you next week.